Yes, I know you're all there. Where'd my lighter go? Well, that's not good. Oh, there it is. Says the event will begin in 2 minutes and 53 seconds, but I've already started, so there you go. So, I decided to go live a little bit early, obviously. I tried to do a live last night that wasn't a vertical, and it sucked. It was like from my PC. Nobody wants to watch anyone on a PC anymore, I guess. So if you're bored and you want to stop by and chat, just jump on in and talk about whatever you want. That's what we're here for. It's like therapy from the internet for the internet. We can talk about anything. Anything you guys want. I got the chat up so I can watch it. But as always, I'm on the same delay as everybody else. So hopefully I can keep caught up on whoever shows up, if anybody does show up, seeing it's a Saturday at noon. So hell, I don't even know when to start these lives anymore. Like to the point where I'm just like, just do one at random, a certain day and certain time, and see if people show up. That's realistically the goal at this point. I don't know what half this stuff says. Where is my crew? Old Glory's probably out on the back 40. Dragging a fiber optic cable all the way to his house. Where are all of my people? Come on now. You know you want to join. You know you're doom scrolling. You know you want to jump in. You know you want to troll. You know you want to have some fun. You know you want to talk. I'm gonna let you do it. So just join on in. Have some fun. Hey, how you doing? I don't know how to pronounce your name. AKB? I don't know if you could say that phonetically for me, but or spell it phonetically for me so I don't get it wrong. Well, welcome. Welcome. We're just kind of hanging out, waiting for the crew to get here. Ryan, how are you today? Welcome. So, we're here to chat just about, anything you guys are interested in. Looks like Pakistan and India are pretty much pounding the hell out of each other. It's fine. It was your name I couldn't pronounce, is what the problem was. So I apologize if you can't understand me. But basically, yeah, we're here to hang out and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. And if you're interested in any of the other stuff that's actually on my channel, or if you find that kind of thing intriguing, whether it be from the engineering aspect or just the drone enthusiast aspect or the I'm creating what the heck is this kind of aspect, then yeah, this is the channel for you. Acro. Well, it's nice to meet you. So, how are things going in, I assume, France? You know what's interesting is in your history, during the Tudor era, I think it was, you guys had a Queen Philippa. She's my grandmother. It's so weird. I did the Ancestry DNA thing and found out a lot of info. What's bad? Welcome. This is just tobacco. Yes, I know it's bad. I know it's bad. But it's better to have that than it is doing the pack and a half a day of smoking that I was doing. This actually helps me to kind of satiate that desire to smoke all day long. And since I keep it out in the garage and I'm not in the garage all the time, or the shop, I should say, then it makes it easier. It's definitely had a profound impact on the my nicotine intake and smoke inhalation, things like that. What am I doing? Well, today is just a chat where I kind of get to know new people who might be interested in the content, not just the lives, but the content on my channel. If that doesn't appeal to you, if it's not your type of thing, then basically what I'm doing is these chats where we can just talk. You're talking to somebody else, having a conversation about whatever you want, no judgments, none of that kind of thing. And you can just say whatever you feel like, obviously within the confines of YouTube's guidelines, obviously. But that's what it's here for, is for me to get to know the community. So if they become interested in what's going on my channel, you guys know me as a person and not just a face on a video, Yeah, it is. Never really was into Apple. My wife kind of got me into it, and I got the watch, and now everything it tells me is how my sleep pattern was or whatever. It's kind of cool because if I don't have my phone, I can still make a call. But I was always an Android guy. Goodbye. You are the best. I don't know if that's directed towards me, but thank you. It is kind of cool. Yeah, it's not something I expected to ever have. Ryan, thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed the content, especially the 340 millimeter EDF that I'm working on. Completely 3D printed turbine engine, run with a skateboard motor, 60 horsepower, 75 volts. When I get the new ESC for it, it'll run 18S packs instead of 12S, which means I'll get the full 75 volts. And then we're looking at around 9,000 RPMs, which is more than enough because I plan on making 4 of those engines into a very large drone. Not to mention, I'm going to use 2 of those engines in a fairly large-scale aircraft, because one of my goals, whether the craft survives or not, is to make an RC plane that can hit Mach 1. Ted, how you doing? Welcome. So, What do you? I don't want to say this wrong. Sarab Media. Am I saying that right? Sarab Multimedia. My apologies. Zaid said hi. How are you? Welcome to the channel. Forgive me if I butcher any of these names. Let's see. Justice, hi. Welcome to the chat. Ted, I think I said hi to you already, but Sir, you love everybody, man. That's cool. I have no idea what that means, Rajan. Rajan Yadav. Is that Russian? Is that Russian? Hi Justice, how you doing? Welcome to the channel. We're just chatting. Oh, Ganesh. Okay. I thought your name was Russian. I apologize for that. I was about to say, you know, Edya Zavut. DPC. Echa prietna. You ever riding a motorcycle by yourself? Actually, I have. It was interesting. I don't usually ride motorcycles because for me it's like, I guess they say it's like riding a bike when it comes to turning, but I feel like there's so much weight to it, you know, I can't get into it. A friend of mine had like a Honda sort of cruiser. It was a pretty heavy bike, but no matter how big the bike was, because of my size, I looked like I was playing friggin' Mario Kart because I looked like Donkey Kong on a motorcycle. Okay. John Jader Riviera, welcome. Santa Claus. I haven't heard that before. I'm the Santa Claus that basically the no witnesses Santa Claus. You know, you've seen that reel, I'm sure. The 10-year-old. I don't have. What is that? Betty? No idea how to say that. I'm good. How are you? Welcome to the channel. Hot Cheeto, welcome. Yeah. Who doesn't like hot Cheetos, right? Hearts for hot Cheetos. Santa Claus. Yes. If I'm Santa Claus, y'all better be good. Because if you're not, this year Santa's going tactical. So we're not doing coal. We're doing grenade traps inside the stockings, where we pull the pin and just stuff the grenade down in there, holding the spoon in place. We're upgrading from coal. So make sure you're good this year. Hello, Winter. Welcome. Non-writer. I'm going to comb it. You're going to comb it? You're going to comb the what? The beard? You know, I honestly didn't think when I've only had this beard for a couple of years. I didn't have beards before. Wasn't my thing. My wife was like, try and grow one. You know, see what it looks like. And it came in as, you know, brown, red, and gray. So, wasn't anticipated. And I was like, why is my beard so thick? Why does it look like this? And after doing my ancestry, DNA thing. You know, I'm sure everyone's done like, I don't know what the main difference is between the 23andMe one and the Ancestry one, but I found out a lot about my bloodline. A whole lot. I mean, here I was thinking I was just a mutt, being in the armpit of California. But turns out there's a lot of influential people that are my grandparents. Too far gone. I'm not exactly sure where that came from, but my wife is very traditional in the sense that she respects me, I respect her, but I'm the man, she's the wife, she knows it. But I always take care of her. I always make sure that she has those small little unplanned surprises. Like if I go to the store or something like that. I'm not, a sexist or anything like that, or what's the term, misogynist or whatever. I don't know what terms they use nowadays. She's my partner, my other half. I'm not me without her. So that, yeah, I see what you're saying. It's how you're saying it that's kind of, I want to say crass, but who knows? Maybe in your culture that's normal. I don't know. I don't know if you're American. I don't know where you're from. John, we know you think I'm Santa Claus, okay? We talked about this. You guys need to be good this year because we're doing grenades with no pins, not coal. Chamber, lay off what drugs? AA family, hi, how you doing? Welcome to AA family. Yes, we know, John. I'm Santa Claus. I'm drugged up? How am I drugged up? Who's drugged up? Why? No, I'm not scared of death. I'm going to outlive everyone. I won't die. Nice Spice. Welcome. Which guy are you talking about? I'm just curious, Devorah. If you're talking about pharmaceuticals, Robin, that save lives, I can understand that. If you're talking about illicit drugs, then no, they are not great. They are harmful to the world and everyone in it. Hell, even some of the pharmaceuticals are. The approved ones. DK Edits. Hello, how are you doing today? Splodger. That's a cool name. Yes, that's an RC jet that I created in Fusion 360. Why do we smoke? You're gonna have to clarify on that one. Nice Spice. Here's another shout out for Nice Spice. Welcome to the channel. Go to Nice Spice's channel right now for content I have no idea about because I just met them. But I'm sure it's great. Remember, Nice Spice on YouTube. You're welcome anytime. And to break out the announcer voice. My UFO encounter? When did I have a UFO encounter? Look, I promise you this: if there's aliens out there, they're gonna fly by the planet and roll the windows up. It's just all there is to it. They're gonna be like, "Oh, that's Earth," you know, roll that shit up. Drone to you. How you doing? Brian Z, hi, how you doing? Eat lunch or be lunch. I like that name. Welcome. Where is my... Oh, Evan, shut up. Where's my mommy wife? You're just mad because she don't like you. Okay, Robin, be careful, would you, please? We want you around for further content, so be sure not to take too. Don't take illicit drugs. Don't. It's just not a good idea. I mean, you never know what's in them nowadays, and I've heard too many stories of people ODing because of stuff coming across the border, and it's just you got to be really careful. And that's, I'm not condoning any kind of use of illicit drugs whatsoever, but if you do decide to do something not like that, know your sources so you don't end up a statistic, for crying out loud. I need all of you. Am I a fan of hunting Bigfoot? No, there is no Bigfoot anymore. I saw him, had my 308 on me. Bigfoot's gone. I do, however, have a very large, very fluffy carpet in the living room now. No, it's not a crack pipe. Thank you, Drone, for asking. It's obviously a tobacco pipe. I know you're just joking. That's cool. What's my fault, Simon? Or are you talking to Brian? I don't know who you're talking to. It's just tobacco. Why does everyone keep asking? Someone's gonna have to translate that one for me. I don't know what it is. I'm on the same delay as you on the chats too, so don't get offended if you didn't hear me right away or if I missed a question. I'm trying to keep up here. Does my wife ground me? Who isn't grounded without a great wife? Glory, you're here. I see you've dragged that fiber optic cable all the way across your property and back to your house. Yeah, it's whole thing is what I forget what kind. These are Father's Day gifts, and I forget what kind of wood was used. It's not weed, it's tobacco. Weed is in the bong. Bong. William, how are you doing? Welcome. Nottingham, she's afraid I'll die. I told her I would be alright. Who's nodding off? Never snitch. He's not gonna tell me, I guess, because of the name. Ryan, a Fortnite. King of YouTube. Welcome, Your Majesty. Yes, I'm 420. I'm in California, of course I'm 420 friendly. Can you get a hit? I'm not sure how that would work digitally, but something tells me that eventually Elon Musk is going to come up with that technology, right? I can email somebody a hit. You know what? I don't mess with opioids. I had an issue with that after my wound from the military. When I got home, all they wanted to do was just fix the problem, or not fix the problem. They wanted to mask it. You know, it's like it's cheaper to just drug me up, I guess, than to actually fix the problem that they caused. So, so yeah, after the military, I had my dance with opiates, and it's not a fun one because I'm telling you right now, you're gonna pay back every single bit of that good with an equal amount of bad, and you just got to learn to ride that out, and you'll be stronger for it. Although it is interesting how your body has to learn how to feel everything again. That wasn't pleasant. I'm not cheerful because of the pipe. I'm cheerful because of all of you. Waldo! We found Waldo again! Let everyone know, Waldo has been found. There's only a few of us here are going to be old enough to understand what the hell that means. But the point is, we found Waldo. Oh, and have you ever worked on any gyroscope-based project? Well, in regards to what and use of the gyroscope? Are you talking about a flight controller type of gyroscope? I need more context on that one. Look in the chat. We found Waldo. Thomas, look, he's here. Waldo Small. Up at like scroll up. You'll see him. We found Waldo. That's Waldo. Man, the trolls are something else. Yeah, they are. They are, and it's crazy. But what are you gonna do, right? This is a place where everyone can come and have fun and just chat. Some people are gonna say, relevant things. Others are gonna spout off with whatever they want to be, see come up on the screen. I have no idea. I'm not sure what fix they get from that. Everyone's looking for Waldo. That's right. William Barry, how you doing? Could talk about any of their money that they said that one marquee they could never take advantage of was a guy that smoked a pipe. That's true. That's very true. Hold on. Catch up on chat here. Nice Spice, are you asking my name particularly, or are you talking to somebody else? Yes, I was in the army. Aditya. Yeah? Aditya? I'm trying to say the names right. I don't know. I'm working on it. Where did I meet my wife? Ironically, it was online, very old website. Probably nobody ever remembered it. It was when MySpace was a thing. I've been married for over 16 years. Basically, we met. I didn't have a long distance relationship. I met somebody online. It was local, and we met up. Everything went great. So, a few months later, we were living together, and then a few months later after that, we were married. From Serbia. All right. Robin, welcome. How are you doing? Connor, what are my pronouns? This ought to explain it to you. Clear enough? Okay. Now, I don't fault anyone for claiming pronouns. You can play pretend all you want. Sans, hi, how you doing? Welcome. Rando, thank you. Thank you. It took a while to get it to where it is. No, I was gonna. No, no, I wasn't gonna do that. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna be lighting up a torch and then farting at the same time. We wouldn't even have to add an afterburner to the turbine. I can do it myself. Bear King. There you go. Sam, that's a good one. I like that. See, that's a good point there, Norton. That's a good point. You want to be a desk lamp? Be a desk lamp. I don't care. If you want to be a guy who thinks he's a woman, actually, I don't even know which direction it's supposed to go. I don't know if a trans man is one that used to be a woman, or is a trans man wanting to be a woman. That always confused me. And then I hate getting yelled at for apparently misgendering somebody, like at checkout or something like that when I'm in a store, because it just annoys the shit out. It's like, you're not wearing a freaking name tag. Wear a name tag. Just put a freaking name tag on there. Like, what are you today? You know? And then it won't be a problem. And then you don't have to anger me with the ridiculousness of it. Like, if you want to be like, hi, I'm a rock, then I'll say, hi, how are you doing, rock? You know? I mean, I'll pay you that respect. You can play pretend all you want, but I'm not going to buy into it to the point where I believe you. I'm just going to placate you to the point where I don't have to hear your freaking rhetoric about the whole reasoning behind why you think it's true that you are what you are. So that's your viewpoint, it's not mine. So my age. Yes, we're doing the age game again. Everyone take a guess. What is my age? Ashley Bray. How are you doing? Welcome to the chat. No, Simon. No, we're not talking about how long I'm going to live. We're talking about how old I am, Ashley. Nope. Everyone's wrong. You're actually way over. Okay, Ashley, you know that was a compliment. But no. In the 40s, yes. In the 40s. Waldo, no. Close, but not close enough. $22, Connor, you're my new favorite person. What is that, 1 million that you put on there, or 100 million? No. Oh. Nope, you're not getting it. Not mid-50s either. Hold on a second. I'm going to read this one. Brando, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard anyone say. Has anybody got my age yet? No. Drone was close. Nope. No. Yes, Brando, it's wrong. Simon got it. See, everyone, 49 years old. You can stop guessing now. Simon got it. 49. Yep, and is it Shiike? I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. 49. Yes, I'm 49 years old. Do I look 49? Now, here's the question. I know the trolls are going to get in on this one, so I expect that. How old do I look? Would you think I was 49 years old? Am I good enough for heaven? Ever lied or stolen before? Everybody, Clark, has been subject to sin. That's the corruption of man for you. It's the forgiveness that you get from the belief in Christ. That's the thing. And you have to be doing it, of course, with the intent of the heart, not just, it's not like car insurance. Yeah, man, the trolls are working hard today. That's right, Clark. That's exactly right. There's never a truer statement. Sonia, respect. Thank you. Respect you too. Let's see. Simon Wood, learning excellency. You're just mean. I don't know what that means. Me too. Oh man, you're funny. I look just like my age. Well, that's good. That's a good thing. At least I don't look too much terribly older than my age, which would be heartbreaking. Actually, I don't really care. I got to a certain point where I was like, I'm aging, but I have a long way to go. Very long way to go. Ever since I stepped foot on this planet. I think it's funny though when I see those, like, someone brought up aliens. You're from Pakistan? What are you in India doing, man? Can't you guys just like stop and like give each other a hug? Be like, hey, let's share all this shit. How much more powerful could Pakistan and India be if they worked together? Rara Evans, you look older than your age. I don't know how to take that. I don't know if you mean in maturity or just I look old. I don't care. The other. If you have gray hair, you're old enough to buy your grave location. I'm not dying, so that's not necessary. Those European RC drone nerds are freaking impressive. Why the European ones, William? I know what you mean. They have some interesting drones. The one I'm building is going to be massive. If you watch any of the 340 millimeter drone shorts that I did, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm building a very large engine. Do I play DTI? I don't even know what is DTI. Simon wasn't in India who started it. I was wondering that myself if it was India that started it, but it's like, why? What's the point? Dress to impress? It's dress to impress. Okay, you're talking about something else entirely. I'm trying to catch up with the chat here, so hold on. Well, dress to impress or what? I have no idea what those are. I see what you're saying. I don't know what those are. I may have seen something like that my daughters play, like on, is it Roblox? I think it is. Yeah, I mean, who didn't expect all this stuff to happen? If you think about everything that's happened between COVID and now, did anyone expect things to get any better in the world? Yes, it's Robot. Connor, yes, daughters. You see, people think my adventures in the army were dangerous. I've raised 6 daughters. And I'm telling you right now, basic training was required. So I'm glad I went to Fort Benning. Thank you, Connor. I think Connor got booted. Why did Connor get booted? Something in either Korean or I don't know that language. I'm saying hi anyway back to you. I don't know. I can't. I don't read anything but English and bad English. So, but welcome to the channel. Glory. It wasn't in timeout because they play Roblox? I'm glad I don't play it. My what? Simon, what are you talking about? Oh, you're talking to Glory, I think. I think you made Simon mad, Glory. People are getting kicked for liking Roblox, I guess. Simon, you're 59? What blend am I smoking? This is just regular, just straight like Red River pipe tobacco. I'm waiting for some Captain Black. But it's like you got to make a choice: roll of filaments so I can print more stuff, and or tobacco. So you go for the cheap stuff, I guess. Norton said hi. How are you doing, Norton? Learning excellency. Is it true if you say that's girly, you mean in your group age that they will stop it? What does that even mean? By the way, smoking is girly. That's your opinion, I guess. More power to you. Crunch, welcome. I'm beautiful. Okay, thank you. What looks like a 3D printer? Oh, you mean behind me? Hold on, I'm trying to catch up on chat. There's a lot going on here. Thor from Pikachu Universe. I couldn't even imagine that in my head, although I'm trying. Interesting, though. Good one, Harry. Cherry Cavendish. That sounds interesting. I'll have to look that one up. What did I do in the army? Okay, well, that's a tough one to explain. Let's just put it this way. I wasn't allowed to have any original teeth or tattoos or markings. And that's all I can say about that. Hey everyone, Twin Arrows, welcome. Waldo, we found him again. Can I talk what? I don't know what that means. Learning, have no idea what that means. A lot of trolls here. A lot of trolls. I love it when the trolls come in because they don't bother me at all. The troll smasher. Yeah. Yes, the troll smasher. I'm not. How do I explain this? I'm not gonna age anymore. I don't have original teeth. No. These were actually made for me and literally to mimic my old tooth because I had broken one tooth. So, yeah, it's a long story. Waldo's not really a troll. I don't think Waldo's a troll. That's when it turned Fox into an elephant. Oh, what the hell, man? Brandon. Wow. I know, it's like all trolls. I love it. You guys are great. You're coming up with some good ones, I'll tell you that. Hey, Mom Bear Homesteading, welcome to the chat. Hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. $22 this August, so I can tell jokes like that. Yeah, you've earned it. I just made it to my 16th wedding anniversary on April 30th, and that was a milestone for me. Actually, it's my first and only marriage, so that's probably a good thing, right? I waited until I knew I'd find the right person, and I married her and happily married ever since. Haven't left her side. Anonymous, I appreciate that. Now, war zones, I can see needing intelligent people, of course. But on the other side of that, we don't want to lose all those intelligent people in war, especially if they're senseless, because what we need is the intelligent people to move from the war to the political structure where where wars begin, and then we wouldn't have that many wars. Yes, Glory, show them. Show them your anti-troll power. Actually, it's kind of cool. I love it when they come in because we have been freeing Palestine. Actually, Israel's been freeing Palestine, if you haven't noticed lately. Looks like a huge parking structure that collapsed under an earthquake. I don't understand the question, but welcome at home. Everyone, you know what I noticed is most of the people that I run into here that are here in the United States that are of the alphabet community, I guess we'll call it, Why are they the ones that are always free Palestine? Have they ever been to Palestine? Do they know what happens to people who are of that community in Palestine? I sincerely doubt it. That's like somebody trying to give their executioner a raise. You know? Like, you deserve more money for taking me out. Superfly, welcome to the chat. So, I assume you're of that community. Twin and Mama are close personal friends of mine. Oh, gotcha. I'll keep that in mind with my witty retorts. Some of these emojis are so damn small, I don't even know what they are. Old glory, personal things. Jesus loves you all. Exactly. Mr. America, thank you for that one. Only way back to the Father. Superfly, you're welcome. Can you say something other than just the flag emoji? Because it doesn't matter to me that you support that community. It's just, you're just throwing the flag out there. So, say something. You know? Stuff that's faster than calling 911. Go! I want to hear this. Waldo's South African, so he's like, he knows where Hunter Biden is. .50 cal, 308 and more. Yeah, that's what I use for home defense. Not the 50, just the 308. Akash, how you doing? Welcome to it. Isaac, how you doing? Norton, you're upset that they use a set of colors. Are you talking about the flag that Superfly's using? I'm confused. Akash, Indian girl. How are things going there in India? Hope everyone's safe and your family's safe. I hear Pakistan's throwing a temper tantrum. Use the 50 for home defense. Why not, right? Protect your home and disable a threat and the idea they had last week with a 50 caliber BMG. Short barrel. Hope to God you suppress it indoors. I'll tell you that. Samurai 789. How are you doing? Welcome to the channel. English folks. Thank you, Glory, for that one. I hate how a certain group of people have hijacked the meaning of a rainbow color. Oh, yeah. Well, of course they're going to do that. It was on purpose. I mean, part of the beginning of the mockery of Christianity, because of course Christianity goes against that type of lifestyle, and of course they find that offensive. So, but hey, rules are rules. I don't make them. Waldo, we shall find you again tomorrow. Thank you for stopping by. Are you good people? Sanaya, why would you ask that question? Mr. America, we're all going to be there. Or, well, most of us. Thank you. IKG Knight. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I have no idea how to say what your name is. Thank you. It's taken a while. In all fairness, of course, it's offensive for someone to think that our existence is offensive. Your existence meaning what? What is your existence, Isaac? And how is it offensive to me? Ignite, but it means... Oh, okay, I understand what you're saying. I got you. Tavita? Hello. Welcome to the chat. I apologize if I'm looking down here more. I don't have access to the chat otherwise. Let's see. Ron, hi, how you doing? Welcome to it. Has anybody seen the video about Arkansas requiring CDL drivers to speak right English or else be ticketed? I haven't heard of that. I don't see how that would be relevant, considering most law enforcement officers or highway patrol, CHP, a lot of them are bilingual, so I don't think it would matter one way or the other. Who are the Karela community? I have no idea, William. If someone... Okay, hold on, Isaac. You're saying if someone is gay, surely you believing that their existence is a sin is you suggesting their moral corruption. No, I think they've been influenced by moral corruption. Not that they're... there's a way out. You have a choice to make. Okay? And the argument is that people say later on in life that they were born that way, but they're just now deciding to be that way. So if you were born that way, you would have known that your entire life. Some people go into it just... I mean, a lot of people abuse it. They go into it and they say, okay, well, this is where I can get attention from, because I can't get it anywhere else. And then they mangle themselves up or make the claim that they have this particular pronoun, and it's usually just for attention, mainly because in this generation, electronics has pretty much been what has raised this generation. For example, the existential crisis rectangle that you're viewing me on, that's usually what raised most of this generation. So, and since most of them had nobody paying attention to them while they were growing up, because they were typically either on the phone or on the computer, or their parents were working to try and survive or whatever, they found something that gave them purpose, even though it isn't who they were. They just had to convince themselves that that's what they were. So, I mean, it's your choice whether or not you want to continue to live that lifestyle, even though you know... I mean, come on. Really? There's a way you can love other people, and then there's a line you don't cross. Okay? It's just that simple. You know, people like to make the argument that it's my right to choose that. Fine, it's your right to choose to identify as whatever you want to identify as. I'll show you respect because you're a human being, but I'm not playing the game of calling you what you want me to call you. That's all there is to it. I'm not going to reinforce the delusion that you can pretend to be something that you're not. It's just that simple. Because what I do you more harm by reinforcing it than you're doing to yourself. Yeah, they did way overplay their hand. Do I choose to be straight? I choose. I didn't have to choose. I know how biology works. This. I mean, and I have no desire for anything other than my wife. You see, you're basing it on sexuality. You're basing it on your desire. Okay. You know the problem is you haven't found your other half yet. And what I mean is, if you're a male, you haven't found the woman that suits you. Because most of the time, the women that are out there aren't displayed as who they really are. So it's usually too much makeup or perfumes and pheromones and things like that. Though you can't instinctually know who it is you are attracted to, because your biology is designed to attract you to the person who you will most likely reproduce successfully with. That's how biology works. You are not going to, if you're a male, you're not going to successfully and biologically reproduce with that male. If you're a female and you think, oh, well, we don't need a man because they're sexist and they're of that community and they're feminists, it doesn't matter if the applicator is in the shape of Jodie Foster's knuckles. It's still man batter in there. So, yeah, that's pretty much the long and the short of it. So it's just common sense, okay? Like, you know, who are you speaking to, David? Hi, and welcome to the chat. Hey, White Lion, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. Oh, my wife has arrived. Hello, my lovely. Why all come into friction? Or fruit? What are you saying? What are you saying, White Lion? Oh, fruition. I'm sorry. I'm bifocals. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. Genetics. Really? Good. I have a question for you, Isaac. Using the CRISPR-Cas9 virus, what plasmid vector should I use to actually impart the Pinella stypticus bioluminescence to an orchid? I know you got to use Cas9, but I need a plasmid. I need a vector. White Lion, you know why what? Samuel, because I can't pronounce your first name. Drones. Yes. I love drones. I like making drones. I like making new engines for drones. I like making new propulsion systems. I'm working on several different things that, well, a lot of them are not on YouTube, and there's a reason for that. William Berry, Transylvania. Drones are amazing. They're like the coolest thing to play around with, especially if you're designing your own engines. All right. Need some practical academic experience with gene editing to give you an answer to that. You can't answer that? I thought you had a degree in genetics or something. Yes, Dill drone. It was one of my funniest drones. Sort of a Katy Perry tribute. Since she thinks she's an astronaut now. Capybara. Hi, how you doing? Welcome. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Isaac. I do. I just need the appropriate plasmid in order to, and then of course I've got to cut the gene and that holds the luciferites and the substrates necessary to impart it to the tissue of whatever other organism I plan on imparting the bioluminescence to. But it's all about the plasmid and the vector. So that's really what I need to do. So right now I'm growing. Yes, I'm an engineer. One more name. Thank you for asking. Not just a biological engineer, but a mechanical engineer, industrial engineer, propulsion engineer. I'm a lot. I'm a lot. Stevie, welcome. How are you? Thomas, welcome. How are you doing today? Hope you're having a great Saturday. Well, it might be Saturday for you. I don't know where you're at. Have some problems with the ohm calculus? Okay, well, what is it? Stupid fly. I hate calculus. I don't like calculus. Einstein didn't like math either. Matter of fact, when he was at university in Munich, he rarely went to class. He was a smartass too. I miss him. I can believe you let me get married. What? I can't believe you let me get married when you made pinky swear. What the heck are you talking about? A pinky swear that you were. Who braids my hair? You moved my. What are you talking about? Crunch? I think he's reading a novel or something. Tobacco. That's all it is. Am I a traitor? I'm gonna have to be a. I need more context on some of these questions. What's the name of this thing you smoke from? Is that a 1990? No, this is just a pipe. It's a pipe tobacco. It's pipe tobacco. What? Vishal, I don't know what Python is. I mean, I don't know if that's like a new thing I just don't know about yet, or what. But Superior, what's going on with you? Need a healing prayer? Why? I mean, if you don't mind me asking, of course. William, I've seen a million people in social media who have IQs triple of Einstein's. Well, when I started studying Einstein, I wasn't sure exactly why that they considered him a mathematical genius. It was Newton that created algebra in the first place. When he first introduced time into equations, a variable to be plugged into equations, and then we had algebra. So, and since I hate math, I'm almost wishing that he was sitting under a coconut tree instead of an apple tree. Too young to be old. No, sarcasm is lost in text format. That's true. Lori, that's a good point. Sarcasm is definitely lost in text. Although I have mastered how to make it happen. If you watch me on Instagram, or any of the conversations I have on Instagram, I use sarcasm, and sometimes I make the women angry there because they'll get on there and say, I don't need this and I don't need a man. And I'm like, look, you wouldn't even be having this conversation if you were in the kitchen right now just making a sandwich. Welcome, Colton. How you doing? Colton Farms. Hope everyone's enjoying the chat. It seems to be taking off on its own. You can, however, if you're interested, you can check out the rest of the content on my channel, and you'll know what I'm getting into. It's everything from creating drones, experimental propulsion. I even have a tilapia farm out there I just started for sustainability and using solar panels to power most things. I'm on the main power grid, but I like having backups. It's not my job. It's the part of my job that I am allowed to show to the public. So you're going to see what I'm working on eventually. I've been collecting equipment and storing it in the warehouse I have across the street. And basically I am, we're getting ready to build a shop. A friend of mine had bought the land and got the engineers going, and he's an excellent metal worker. And there's some things that I'm putting together that you will eventually see. To put it very simply, he knows that we need a landing pad on the premises. About speed and time travel? Oh, hold on, let me back up. An example of the best thing that you build. The best thing I build? Realistically, it's experimental propulsion. Right now, with this channel, what I've been trying to prove is that you can build some pretty hefty turbine engines with a 3D printer. I have one X1 carbon, and that one X1 carbon is what I use to build that 340 millimeter 22 blade high pass EDF system that I'm working on. With a 60 horsepower motor that runs at 75 volts and 10,000 milliamp runtime. I can play around with the milliamps, but to get more runtime. But I'm making a drone out of 4 of those very large motors, and it's going to have an insane lifting capacity. RPMs on the 340 are going to top out at about 9,800. That's going to give me an extremely high tip speed. So flying the drone without any weight on it initially, as far as what the payload can be, is going to be one of the first tests. And I'm going to be trying to film it from a drone that I'm building for the GoPro, so that I can get an aerial shot of it going up. Plus I'll be filming from the ground once it's completed. So yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be this drone's probably 4.5 to 5 feet squared. So it's going to be a big drone. Maximum thrust for all 4 engines at 75 volts is 1,400 pounds. The drone weighs about 75 pounds. So the thrust to weight ratio is immense. Yeah, in a sense, William. Basically, I removed the combustor for the purposes of using a high-pass fan for my turbine, for my EDF. I did have a compressor in the first few versions, because the low-pressure turbine system, if you take out the combustor between the low-pressure turbine system and the actual compressor behind the high pass fan. The compressor air actually goes through and hits the low pressure turbine, which in turn helps to turn the main fan, but it is electrical. What that does is kind of what you would expect with a combustor as far as driving the main shaft, but the compressed air without the combustor more or less alleviates load from the motor. So there's a small amount of load that's taken off the motor by using the low pressure turbine without the combustor, but with the compressor that's behind the high pass. So it makes it a fairly efficient EDF and totally electric. So it's all just a matter of pairing up the right cell packs on the battery power and the right ESC. And what I have found with the 340 millimeters, I don't need more than 9,800 RPMs to produce maximum thrust. With a variable pitch blade design, the power band is above about 4,000 RPMs. You get a stable hover at about half of that, probably less once I move up to 75 volts, because I've been testing at 48. But that's taxing the engines and causing a little bit of heat. Believe it or not, if you run 48 volts through a 75 volt motor, it does cause issues as far as heat buildup. Once I'm at the efficiency that I need with the 18S ESC, then the 18S pack will supply 75 volts fully charged to 120 amps with a 100 amp maximum discharge rate on the motor, which will give me a little over 9,000, because it's a 110 kV motor, so you're taking volts times the kV and then you get your RPMs. But running it at maximum throttle isn't something that you're always going to do. So it's just more or less to have the overhead for the power. There is no water cooling, no. Strictly, this one is direct. The motor that drives the turbine is directly in line with the airflow, like you would see in any standard EDF. I could apply heat sinks, but right now I'm using outrunners, and you don't want to really put heat sinks on an outrunner. I could probably get more heat dissipation with an in-runner, but I do need to find a sufficient in-runner. It's really just a juggling, thing where you're trying to match up ESC power output with horsepower and kilovolts to get the right amount of torque you need for the motor and the blades and the fan resistance that you're going to get with 22 blade high pitch design. And I am basically been going through different variations of that, so taking the diameter of the blade into consideration, the length of each one of the blades minus the hub, the variable pitch of each one of the blades, and the overall tip speed, to try and get basically the kilograms per second that I'm going to be pushing, so I can calculate the load on the engine and use the appropriate equipment so that we can maintain control of heat. Static thrust tests do produce a lot more heat because you're not going anywhere. Up in the air, you get cooler air, so at different altitudes, so that helps with cooling. In the future, I'm probably going to switch to an in-runner just so that I can put a heat sink on it, just to help out. But right now, I'm not pushing anything over 145 at max throttle, and and that's in Fahrenheit, so that's pretty good. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Welcome to the chat. Well, there's two aspects to that. It's faster makes it cooler, but also the proper voltage for the engine and the ESC also maintain it. Plus, the timing of the ESC is important. And since I'll be using a flight controller, I'm from California, by the way, just to answer that question. So the flight control, right now I'm running it direct from the ESC, so I haven't been using a flight controller to test this motor. Once I get to the point where I'm actually using the flight controller because I have all 4 motors, then I can program the poles that the motor has. I can program the idle speed. I can program the timing. I can use, tell it as standard ESC. So the flight controller will know how to handle the ESCs through the power distribution board in order to get more efficiency out of the engines, and they'll run cooler. So, but doing it manually like this to test each individual engine as they're being developed, you run into the challenges of, okay, I need to set my ESC timing, make sure that I have the proper voltage, make sure that I have the proper engine, and then you go from there. So it was trial and error at first, but I think I have found the motor that I want to use for this, and I've found the ESC that I want to use. I just have to get the ESC ordered, and then I have to order another set of batteries, because the ones I'm using to power it are two 10,000 milliamp 22 volt that are running series, and then I'm going to add one more to get my 18S pack. So that's going to be 3 10,000 milliamp batteries, which is still 10,000 milliamps when you're running at that voltage. It doesn't make it 30,000 milliamps. If I want to do that, I can run 6 batteries. So each set of 2 would be run parallel, and then those 3 sets would be run in series, and that would give me 20,000 milliamps. So we can vary the runtime based on that. No, the Earth is not flat. Sorry, Mike. I'm hoping that the military sees it. Well, what I am going to be doing, they will see for sure. Some of the stuff that I can't show you, at least at this point. But I'm looking to get more into the civilian rescue in the sense where you're locating individuals. You can bring in heavy duty supplies. You can even use the drone to pull people out places where helicopters can't get to, or it's dangerous for them to get to. If I can get to a point where a helicopter can't, to get somebody harnessed up and get them out, or if they're on a roof in a flooded area, I think it would be very beneficial to have a system like this. Also using it to get heavy hoses for fire above the fire, to be able to do fire control, things like that, to put out fires. They have drones that they use hoses on already, but I'm talking about something that could carry a lot more weight. Governor protected? Well, yeah. I mean, you're going to have to govern. If you're talking about the electronics themselves, I'll have to actually govern the ESCs to make sure there's no overamp. And also the way that I'm designing this, because it's a quad and it's an X quad. Basically, they're spaced identically in distance apart from each other. So what I've done is I've integrated into the flight controller a switch to where if you lose an engine, it'll go into a tricopter mode, which means that if one engine goes down, it'll automatically go into the Y-copter programming and still be able to fly. And that's crucial. Weight distribution, a little tricky. You don't want to use too much weight on the rear engine in a Y-copter configuration, especially if you're, if you lose an engine. If you lose 2 engines, you can still fly, because it'll still work in a bicopter mode, because you'll still have 2 counter-rotating blades. If that, plus you're going to have drogue chutes and other things like that for safety in the event that there's a catastrophic failure in the control system, or if you lose more than 2 engines. Yes, it is specifically designed for VTOL. It then can also bank into a plane mode, so that it's able to get to, where it needs to be for whatever work that it's designed to do that day, or designed for. The system's big enough to where I can have a retractable airfoil, which is interesting because the idea is I want to be able to VTOL up, operate as a drone, and then bank 90. And then once I bank 90, what we're doing is we're transitioning out and extending the airfoils. We don't need control surfaces on the airfoils because we're using differential thrust for that. Pitch, roll, and yaw, all done with that. Is it here?
I do believe your package is here.
All right. Hold on one moment. I do have to get a package off the front porch. We don't want the porch pirates to come by because, well, it's just a waste of ammunition for me. Hang tight, everyone. All right. Sorry about that, everyone. So, as I was saying, Hassan, welcome from Switzerland. CB Apex, hi, how you doing? If I didn't get to your comment or question while I was talking, it's because I have the chat down here. I'm on the same delay as you, so I'm not ignoring you. What are you guys talking about? You know what's interesting about the whole thing about how things are all made in China? The stickers that say made in China are actually printed in Korea. Pat, what are you actually, what question are you asking? Hello, M. Kim. Welcome to the chat. If I didn't see you, I apologize. Hi, from the Persian Gulf. Welcome. I'm here. I don't think it needs power control. You can use AI for situational control. Well, yeah, you could use that. Hello from India. How are you doing? FF King. You're Indian? Hope I got the right Indian. I said India, but if that was incorrect, please tell me. You probably would have said native if you meant the other one, right? I mean, can I explain a jet engine? It really depends on which one you're referring to. Realistically, the way a high-pass turbine engine works is you have a large high-pass fan that has compressor blades just behind that. And that pushes it into a combustor, which has more compressors in it. And the compressor drives those compressors blades, it spins them, and compresses the air even more. It goes into a combustion chamber where the fuel's injected, and when the combustion starts with the airflow, That airflow is pushed out the low pressure turbine system, which is attached directly to the shaft that drives the high pass fan system in the front. And that high pass fan mixes cool air with the hot air coming out of the low pressure turbine to reduce noise and to perpetuate the cycle of spinning the high pass fan. Because realistically, the power you're getting out of the engine is mainly out of the high pass fan. And the more compressor stages you put in the front, the higher the compression ratio for the combustor. I eliminated the combustor altogether and the compression stage for opting for an electrical alternative that is going to work with just the high pass fan, which is mainly the fan that produces the thrust. So finding a suitable replacement for the entire combustor and the compressors and everything like that was it comes down to the type of engine electrical engine that I'm using. And that in turn, while I'm tested with lithium polymer packs, will eventually be run with a hydrogen fuel stack, so that I'm not dependent on the milliamp hours of the LiPo, but how much hydrogen you can carry. Well, you're here, man, Batista, so, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If it's boring, what would you like to talk about? I like to try and make people happy in the chat, so what do you want to talk about? Do you have a subject? I'll wait. I am talking about aviation. I'm talking about turbine engines and the fact that I've taken basically a high pass turbine engine and turned it into an electrical high pass turbine engine that I'm using as an EDF for a drone and a VTOL forward flight system, and it's 340 millimeters in diameter. You're not going to find another 3D printed turbine engine EDF that I'm using for a drone. You're not going to find this anywhere else, not this size, not an inducted fan engine. Sure, you could find big propellers, but I'm steering away from that for a reason. So yes, I have 3D printed a 340 millimeter 22 blade high pass fan. And if you look at some of the shorts that I put out, and you look under the Stubby Fan playlist and the Mach 1 project, among other things, you'll find areas where I've tested this on a 48 volt system. But it is a 75 volt motor, so once we move to that 18S pack, we're going to get those RPMs I want. South Africa, what's going on, Carlos? Welcome. Thank you for being here. You're cool too, man. I appreciate the support. And remember, if you guys like the content, if you guys like just the chats, that's cool. But if you like the content of the channel as well, make sure you subscribe and share it with your friends. Say, hey, this is cool. This guy starts chats. We can come in and talk about anything. I don't judge people. It's just that simple. Trolls come in, let them come in. The trolls have to have a place to let out their anger and frustrations as well, right? So I welcome the trolls, because if they get too out of hand, glory just snips them at the butt. Mimic, how are you doing? Welcome to the chat. What about MiGs? What's the context of your question there, Barista? Why would I hide out in my nuclear bunker? Are you talking to me, Proton? Why would I hide out in a nuclear bunker? Mims, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. If I haven't already said it, Sunset Shine. Anya? Is that your name? Like Russian? Are you Russian, Anya? I don't know what that means. Sorry. He's Russian. Ed Yazavuk, Roger. Очень приятно. I'm gonna see my models. We'll get to that. I'll show you what I do have out. Which is I'll have to unplug the phone first. I was just kind of wanting everybody to have a good time and chat for a little while, and then we'll get to that part. You know, can I say hi to Mabel? Mabel, did I miss somebody? Mabel, how are you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful day. I seemed interesting, so I don't now. You use past tense. That's not cool. My best drink? Coffee. You know, when you're young, people say they like alcohol and things like that. And I never really did like alcohol. It wasn't my thing, ever. But I can tell you that I worked as a bouncer at a bar, and somebody did try to get me to, you know, hey, have this. I'm like, what is it? And they're like, it's Bacardi 151. So I'm like, okay. And I was like, well, that was awful. And then after about 11 shots, it was time to go home. Can I pull more than 5,000 pounds? Please give me some context, because personally I can, but I don't know if the drone can. Yeah, I wish we could have another earthquake. You know, people on the East Coast, they freaked out over a 4.1. A 4.1 happens here. Like I said before, it just stirs your coffee. I'm on the West Coast. It better be like a 7.5, 8. Then we start to get a little excited. That's when I go out into the orchards and start dirt surfing. You know, wait for the waves to come by. That's always fun. Black Beauty, why do you want me to say that? See, people tell me to say things all the time. So the question I have is, why do you want me to say it? You give me a valid reason why, and I will. Is Crunch acting out again? Well, I hear you, Black Beauty, and you're welcome to the channel. You're not just, you know, a picture in the chat. You're a person, and I recognize you as such, and I welcome you to the chat, and I hope you feel welcomed. So, Apple. Apple, Apple, Apple. Tupac or Biggie? Is that a question? Party 151 after 3 shots, couldn't even stand. Yeah, I did 11. I now understand what a liver seizure feels like. F-16 or F-15? 14, man. Tomcat. It's just tobacco. I don't do the other stuff on camera. That's sort of my thing, you know? It's when I want to relax. That's not for you guys. I need my mind nice and clear, you know? You know, people argue about that all the time. You guys are close to my age if you're talking about Tupac and Biggie. How does smoking feel? Um, at first, and I'll tell you, I started when I was 17. Big mistake. It felt great. But that's really like any drug, right? You do it for the first time, you feel great, and then eventually it becomes a problem. So I stopped smoking cigarettes in lieu of the pipe because it's more of a satisfies that fixation and the aroma. Keeps me from smoking packs of cigarettes a day, which is something I don't want to do anymore. So I don't even know how long it's been since I smoked a pack of cigarettes. My wife could tell you. That's right. F-14. Awesome plane. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the F-22. But outside that, F-14. Burn my table, Crunch? You're such a funny guy. You really are. Burn my table. There you go, Crunch. Oh, look, it didn't burn. Oh, yeah, I watched Maverick. Yeah. As a matter of fact, with the 340 millimeter EDF that I have, I'm actually going to be using the Dark Star model for the two engines because I'm going to try and build a Mach 1 RC aircraft. Crunch does have issues, yes. Community guideline breaches. Nice try. Do people actually believe that YouTube's going to come into the chat and start saying stuff? Clear to take action will result in channel strike. Thanks. I don't know what you're talking about, YouTube. Nice try, though. They really think I'm that dumb. Where's the beer? I have no idea where the beer is. I don't drink beer. I don't drink alcohol. Have I what? Gearhead? No, I haven't. That's something a coward would do. Evan, the weed is in a safe place. You don't get to see it. I'm so sorry. What are you talking about, child? Man, I love it when you guys come in here with this stuff. I would never lay my hands on a woman. There's been situations where women, you know, I'm not talking about actual women. I'm talking about the ones who, you know, they want to get into a fight with a man so they can play victim. You know, the ones that get in your face in a grocery store if you grab the last head of lettuce or something. And then they start calling you a fascist or something. If a woman hits me, I'm not going to hit her back. Because, I mean, what can a woman do to me? Nothing. I've had several confrontations with people who have trespassed on my property, not women. And none of them ever wanted to fight. They just they talk. You know, a lot of people talk. They like, oh, I'll do this. And they don't do a damn thing. And that is more annoying to me than anything because I'm ready to go. If you're gonna sit there and be threatening, I'm ready to rock and roll. But when a guy sitting on a motorcycle, 3 of them, by the way, 3 guys, threatens me because I kicked them off my property for running dirt bikes on it, and they got mad because I flashbanged them with a 37 mil. And then they surround me in the street, and then like, just talking like they're like Karens on motorcycles, just talking. Nobody will get off the bike, and then one guy goes, "I'll throw hands." He goes, "Just put down the piece first." So I handed it off to my son, and it was just a 37 millimeter launcher for airsoft. So I don't know what his fear of it was. And then I walked up back to the motorcycles that were surrounding me in the street. And I said, "Okay, if you want to throw hands, get off your bike." And he didn't. He just continued to do circles and rev his engine until he rode off into the night, flipping me off or whatever. Then, "I'll be back." I'm like, "Okay, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Of course you'll be back. Just like the Terminator, right?" You know how many times I've heard that crap? Nobody ever gets off their bike or fights me for some reason. Am I that intimidating? I mean, I got 3 people that refuse to gang up on me and fight, even though that they're trying to fight. And one of them wouldn't shut up. I swear. He had his hat on backward. You could tell he was the bitch of the group because he had a mouth on him. He wouldn't shut his mouth. So I imagine they were fairly embarrassed when they got home and realized they got called out, and they never came back. They never came back. They never do. Stacy wishes what? Oh, you want to see my physique? Well, okay. All right. Probably going to be out of camera for this one, but sorry if I am. I'm 6'4", around 290, trained at Fort Benning. Do you need to know any more? For people who address me with weaponry across the street on the property, I have some equipment for that, but other than that, that's all you're going to see. So, Last Mondo. How are you, Mondo? Welcome to the chat. That wasn't weaponry, that was body armor. What? A tyrannical ruler? Why would I be a tyrannical ruler? What does that have to do with my size? Yeah, that's what I don't get, because I'm really a personable guy. I avoid confrontation because the last time I was in a confrontation, I did a lot of damage to somebody, and I actually felt bad about it. And I don't like to, so I'll avoid confrontation. People talk all the time. They can talk all they want, call me names, do whatever. They put hands on me, they're not getting those hands back. That simple. Question. Hi. It's more of a statement, but the name kind of threw me off. I like it. Good name. You're going to have to enlighten me on that one, Joe. I have no idea what you're talking about. I have melted no one. I haven't called down lightning in years. This chair is killing me, though. Thank you. I appreciate that. As I get older and I start to lose more of the hair, I try to show off what I have left. So yeah, no, I'm getting that, like, you know, about that balding spot that happens back here. You know, it's not too terrible yet, but you can see it pretty predominantly. But I don't care. It's not a big deal. The beard, that's what matters. If I end up going bald, I'll wear it with pride, or not wear it with pride, and then I'll have my beard, which will always be there. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually didn't know my beard was gonna grow in this way before I did it. I actually wasn't sure how it would end up, but then once I realized how much Viking heritage that I had from my ancestry, and I have literal, I'll show this on the channel, I'll do a post if I have to, if you guys don't believe me. Ragnar Lothbrok and Aslaug Sigurdsdottir are my 31st great grandparents. So the Queen of Denmark and Ragnar Lothbrok, of course. So I found this one, like, place on Instagram that makes axes and swords and stuff like that can chop through wood, you know, when you're splitting wood. And I'm like, I want one of those, but it's not for splitting wood. I want one with my clan on it, and I want one, I don't care if it's made for chopping wood. If it's the heavier, the better, because that's just muscle strength. That's muscle training right there, you know. And that's what I want. I want to get that sword, and I will one hand. I've got a full length broadsword that I use one handed, you know. Saves on ammo. And it's more personal. So if someone does decide to break into my house, I may go for that first. Who knows? You know. What's my favorite car? Oh man, Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds. Nothing like that Cobra jet, man. Ah, telling you. I'm telling you, that's the car for me. If I had a choice, that would be the car for me. I was given a car because I had a loaner on vet benefits, so I can't really afford a whole lot. But I had a loaner that I was using, and that needed to be brought somewhere else. So a guy was who I knew was gonna buy his wife a new car, and he had this 2006 Chrysler, the 300C, the 5.8 Hemi, and so he gives it to me. And I'm not a 22-inch rim fan, not really my thing, but it had 22s on it and some pretty wide tires, and it was cambered out, so it could hug the corners, you know. Or is it towed out? No, it's not towed out, it's cambered. Anyway, the point is, I like the Hemi. I changed the spark plugs in it. That cost a lot because I had to change 16 spark plugs. But it's a fun car, and I want to put some good exhaust on it. You know, even though it's a luxury kind of sedan, it's still got the power, man. It does. Love that Hemi. I would love a manual transmission, if especially as long as it's like a Mustang, like a 69, a fastback. We're talking in like the GT 500 series type of stuff, but the old school stuff, not the new ones. Like, you know what I mean? Something I can put a tunnel ram on and two Holly 650s with a friggin' just, either and some. I'm not into turbos and stuff like that, and nah, straight muscle. Straight muscle. Which meat do I love to eat? Well, fish is a good meat. I mean, hey, that's why I have a tilapia farm. But I noticed as I got older that the best thing for my system is just straight protein. So like kielbasa, any kind of red meat, that kind of thing. I could live off of that. I'm not picky about, what foods I have, as long as it's good foods, good for the system. Fish isn't considered meat in Catholicism? I wonder why that is. I'd like to understand the ideology behind that. You can't afford what? YM. What are you talking about? What I can afford? What can't I afford? Irish fish? Irish. What's the difference between Irish fish and other fish? I'd take a 4.6 liter or 6.4 liter Hemi. I definitely. I like. It's just muscle cars altogether. Look, when I was younger, I worked for an not a manufacturer, but a refurbisher, and I had a '73 Ford Ranchero. Not the beautiful, most beautiful of cars, but I did manage to slap a 460 that I stroked over 205/14 with a 280 lift cam, 244 duration, tunnel ram, Holley 850 CFM carburetor, and it had it had some Mickey Thompson M5014, racing slicks on the back, and I used to drive that around town all the time. I had to put bags of cement in the rear of the bed of that thing just to keep traction. But I don't know how many drive lines I twisted with that thing. I had a B&M slap shifter in it. V8 Yaris. About 1,000cc Polaris. That might be. Well, at least you can check your mail within the week now. No matter how many paths one may search. Hold on. It sounds like there's a fortune cookie in chat. True peace and meaning found only on the path of Islam. Well, that's not true. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, but, if you don't accept Christ, sorry. Yeah, we're not doing any of that. No Islam for me. I don't look down on them, but if I'm not standing firm in my belief as a Christian, then how could any of them respect me for it, even if they're my enemy, because of their religion? It's just that simple. I appreciate that, Catalan. I appreciate that. Thank you. I try to be as entertaining as possible, but I try to be me at the same time, and I try to be as honest as possible with everyone. It's like they want to ask questions, they want to ask political this, what do I think of that, what do I think of this, religion and this and that. If you're a different religion, that's for you. Congratulations. I know what my religion is. I'm not going to look down on you for it. I'm not going to judge you for it, but I know what my truth is, and I'm going to stick by it. And the only way back to the Father is through Christ. And if people have a problem with that who are watching, you're welcome to keep scrolling. If you agree with me, then hey, subscribe, and there's going to be plenty of more chats like this in the future where we're just kind of just hanging out and talking and having a good time in between me waiting for parts to keep going on the projects. Because I enjoy these chats. I get to know a lot more people. I find out I find that I attract a lot of trolls, or what we consider trolls, and I'm not sure why, but I do. Yeah. The meaning of the word taqwa when dealing with ideology that is Islam. In other words, no one wants to talk Islam with me. Well, of course they don't. I mean, the Quran was what? Adopted in the late 80s? You know, Bible's 2,000 years old. A lot of people say, why do you believe in that? I have a lot of these arguments on Instagram where they're like, well, why do you believe in like your fairy tale sky daddy? And like they're trying to throw insults out because they don't have any intellectual argument to actually throw at me. They're like, science tells us everything. I said, oh no, son. Science is the observation of creation and has never created something from nothing. The universe didn't even create itself from nothing. So we know fundamentally how energy works in the universe. So where did the energy come from? A creator. And they're like, no, it's the Big Bang. I'm like, no, the Big Bang was the result of what was created. And they're like, well, how do you believe in the Big Bang and the supposed biblical age of the earth? And I'll put it to you very simply. When God created the earth, man was created last. And we have a specific perception of time within this universe. God isn't bound by that time. He's eternal. So the 6 days that they mentioned in the Bible, and he did mention no man will live but one of my days, and in the very beginning, Adam and Eve were never meant to die, meaning God was eternal. Always has been. But before human consciousness was in existence to perceive time, how do you know how long it took to create the universe, even if in our perception of time it appears to be so many billions of years old? So that I want you to mull over. Most people say God didn't create the universe. Well, he did. How do you know? Because it's 4.5 billion years old, science says. I'm like, again, science is the observation of creation, nothing more. Any real scientist worth of salt will not tell you definitively, even though he believes in science and his observations, that the universe wasn't created by a designer. Very simple. So, yes, it is true. Mankind's consciousness was not here to observe the creation of the universe and the passage of time until he existed. Therefore, as much time as God wanted could have passed within the universe he created to get the universe to where it needed to be to sustain life. And you, not being a conscious individual from the very beginning, would have never known of that passage of time until you were created. So, there you go. It's a paradox that most people cannot seem to comprehend. It's fairly simple. It's time versus eternity. Time being a measured portion of eternity, and once it's over, it's over. And just to let everybody know, we have a book. It's the Bible. And it tells you from the beginning to the end exactly how things are going to unfold. And this is why I am very much a comfortable person in my faith. Because I know how it all ends. There's a religion for tarot. There's always going to be other religions. You see, people perceive certain things and call it, like, for example, the people who are talking about God doesn't exist, but then they use tarot cards to talk to spirits, which aren't spirits because they're not. They're demons. Even those demons that you're playing with believe God exists. Human beings are the only ones that were given the free will to either choose Christ and the existence of God or deny him. Even the demons don't have that power to deny Christ, to deny God, because they know he exists. So I'll tell you that right now. That's one of the things that the demons cannot understand about humanity, is how we are able to deny the existence of a creator. This fly is starting to get on my nerves. Come here, fly. Where you at? Did I get you? Almost. get him later. Atheism's not a religion. It's the lack of the belief of any kind of religion. How can anyone live a life as an atheist happily? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And the nearest I can tell is the fact that atheism is like, I'm just here, so I am not accountable for my decisions, nor do I have to worry about being accountable for my desires, because I don't fall under a religion. So now I can do whatever I want. I mean, that just is a spawning ground for serial killers if I've ever known it, you know? Yeah, just ask the question. Who are you speaking about, demons, God, and humans? Are you mad? What are you? You might have to rephrase that question because I don't. Oh, you got timed out. I was actually curious on what the question was, what he meant by the question. It's just tobacco, cast iron. Sorry, the other stuff's for off camera. Not while I'm on camera. But I have a fan blowing on me, so I have to use the torch rather than a traditional lighter. If God was alone, how did he felt perceived with no perception from others? God isn't alone. If you've ever heard of the Trinity, you'll understand it. It's going to be hard for anyone to understand or quantify God's existence within time. God isn't bound by time. He created it. He created the entire universe and everything in it. You have to remember there was a war going on long before the existence of man, and that was between the devil and God. And that's because we all know that the devil wanted to be God. He thought he could do it better, so he got cast out. And everyone goes, oh, well, that's cruel. Why would you do that to somebody? And it's like, well, I mean, you know, if you go into business and somebody came in and said, I can do your job better than you, what are you going to say? Get out. It's your business. Aliens don't exist. Zero, that's the key. See, aliens are what Hollywood has created to try to put a face to what they can't see or understand. So now everyone believes in aliens. And that's how programmable humans are. So, yeah, aliens don't exist. If you encounter something otherworldly, it's more than likely a demon. Because they do exist. And there's a demon assigned to you as well as a guardian angel, whether you believe it or not. And that demon's entire existence is to make sure that he pulls you away from God. Because the war between God and Satan is over us. His entire method, his entire plan is to destroy us, which God, our Creator, loves us. And he wants to destroy what God loves. He wants to hurt God. Why? Because he was cast out. He was cast out and has no power. And the only power he has is the influence that he peddles through his minions here on earth. And sadly, many people fall for it. Okay, God always was. You're not understanding eternity. Off my phone fly. God always has existed. It's hard for us to understand that because we always understand something with a beginning and end. God always has, always will exist. and he exists presently. See, you don't understand the fact that you have to look at the universe as sort of like a sphere of time. And within that sphere, our lives exist as these lines going through that sphere. And I've said this before. And God can witness or go into any part of any one of those lines of each individual's timeline inside that sphere, and it could be the same time. And to us, we would be perceiving God being with us all at the same exact time. But for him, it's at each individual time. So outside of that bubble of time or the universe, that's where God exists. Everything that you know and everything that will happen is done already. Outside of this time, everything is done. It's finished. The end of mankind, the end of the universe, the end of existence is finished. We have to travel through this perception from the point in time that we are now until the end. One of Jesus Christ's commandments, endure to the end. Not commandments, but one of the things he told us is to endure to the end. And once we're done with this time and are no longer bound by it, then you'll understand what the aspect of eternity is compared to time here on earth. See, that's what people don't understand. You lose a loved one and they go to heaven because they believed in Christ, and you believe in Christ. Believe it or not, you're already there with them according to their perception, because they're not bound by time and they're in a place where time doesn't control their perception. So you're there with them already. And that's what people don't seem to understand. You have to live through this time from this point on. And I'll read the questions, just give me a minute. But technically, outside of this time, if you're going to be with a loved one in heaven, you're already there. We're all already there. Wherever we end up, we're already there. But now, you have to go through this time period first. You run a finite course of time through this existence, and once it ends, that's it for you in this time. Of course we have free will. You have the will to choose God or not to choose God. And that decision is purely based on the fact that, what your moral stance is on it. And because what purpose would it serve for God to force you to believe in him? He gave you the freedom, he gave you the earth, he gave you the time. And he said, you can choose me or you can choose to deny me. So the choice is yours, ultimately. And it takes a lot of faith to understand that. And once you have faith, it's hard to understand ever living without it. I'll tell you one thing right now. Everyone on earth is exposed to God. You're going to tell me in this day and age that there is a certain group of people out there that may not know who God is? I doubt it. Everyone has been exposed to God. Whether they chose to study the Bible, whether they chose to read it when it was given to them or offered to them or shown to them or told to, they were told about it, that's up to them. But everyone on this planet, if you think about our infrastructure right now in the internet, everyone has been exposed to God. And yeah, I don't even care if it's in a third world country, okay, where they're living in grass huts, okay. If they're online trying to get your credit card information, they have access to the Bible. Everyone on this planet has been exposed to God. And I'll bet you money that if there's anybody out there that you say hasn't been exposed to God, realistically, it's going to be based on what they've been exposed to, what they believe. But I guarantee you it's all going to come back to a creator. It's all going to come back to a God for them. Whether they understand who that God is, whether they've been exposed to the Bible, they know it, they feel it. I mean, think about it. Everyone thinks, we're just, our self-awareness is nothing. It's part of our biological makeup, and it isn't. Who you are, you're driving around this meat sack avatar for the time you're here on Earth. And proof of that is, what does the body do when it comes to emotions? It trips out, doesn't it? You cry when you're sad. You have tears of joy. You cry when you have happiness. Your body doesn't know how to handle the emotions that your self-aware consciousness understands. So your body reacts in ways that are irrational to any other species on the planet. I hope you do go to church. I do. Read the Bible. And if people are not seeing what they want to see, you got to go in and say, look, pray to God. Ask the Holy Spirit to help you understand. Read about Christ. Read about God. Understand who He is. Talk to people who have studied the Bible and help you understand things that you might not understand. Because everybody out there who believes the same thing I believe, they want to help everyone else. We don't hate anyone because they have a different religion. I don't hate people because they think they're a houseplant or identify as a rocking chair or whatever else. I don't hate them for it. I might be sarcastic about it, but I don't hate anyone for it. I don't hate anyone at all. It's just not in me. And I would help anyone I could. I mean, there was people around here that wanted help, like mow the grass on my property that I'm working on with across the street around the warehouse. And they robbed from me. They stole things from me. I still gave them opportunities. I still trusted them. Let the law handle the theft part. But I knew who they were. Because I have discernment. I knew who they were. And I knew when they were lying to me to my face. And I still gave them a chance. And the reason why is because it wasn't my place to judge them. It was to show them the compassion that I had for them, regardless of how they put themselves in that situation, whether they be homeless because of addiction or any other, decisions that they made that put them where they are. That wasn't my place to judge them for that. I gave them the opportunities. You want work? Yes, I gave them work. Cut the grass for me. I paid them. And they would steal copper from me and things like that. And I knew they were, but still, I let it go. I let it go and I still showed them compassion afterwards. And why is that? Because they would leave with that on their conscience. And then at one point I tell them, I was like, look, I know what you've been doing. I know what you've done. I know what you've taken. I want you to know I forgive you for that. And I want you to know that I'm still willing to help you. And that's the thing. You've got to have that compassion for people. No, I'm not Jewish. Let me try and catch up on the chat here. Do I think I'm going to heaven? Of course. I know I am. I don't go anywhere in this life without God with me. He's everywhere. People need to realize that. He's all around us, all the time. All he's waiting for is for you to accept that. Accept that and realize that he sent his son down here for your salvation from this world because he didn't want to destroy it again. So he sent down his son, which was God incarnate, because they're one and the same, the Trinity. Again, another part of eternity that no one will be able to fathom, really. You'll be able to understand it somewhat from the Bible, but to understand it, you have to actually be there. And by the time you get there, I'm hoping you're on the right side. So it's God is everywhere. He's everything. He holds everything together. And he's always with you. He's always available to you. That's the point of an omnipresent God. One that isn't bound by time. He can be here with me right now and have a conversation with me. Or just be supporting me. Or watching over me. And he can be with you at the same exact time. Right now. That's an omnipresent God. And that's what the example of the sphere being, the sphere of time with the universe in it and everybody's timeline, and God not being bound by that time, being outside of it, that allows him to be able to go into every single moment in time all at the same time according to our perception. So that's how an omnipresent God works, and that's the beauty of it. People don't understand. They try to find God all the time, and all they have to do is accept the fact that he's everywhere. And then you'll start to understand. Read the Bible. Find friends that can help you understand parts of it that you don't quite understand, because there will be times you have questions. I get a lot of ridicule on Instagram. It's like, oh, well, God condoned slavery. No, he didn't. He didn't. He made rules for the time period. That the slaves should not go away empty-handed. You shouldn't beat them. And these slaves weren't slaves in the sense like people think of in the early Americas. These were slaves. These were people who had nothing and were willing to work for the room and board that were offered by the ones that actually had land. So God made rules of how you should treat them. They were referred to as slaves. But he said, you don't beat them, you don't kill them, you don't send them away empty-handed when their tenure's done. So that's all there is to it. And then people take the word slavery, which is loosely translated from the original Hebrew, and they associate it with modern day slavery that happened in the early, the birth of this nation. And then then they call me a racist and a fascist and everything else just because I read the Bible and believe in God. And oh, well, that means you condone slavery. I'm like, well, it is God that freed the Israelites from slavery. So and I never understood why the Israelites were still always so disobedient during the entire trip through the desert. They didn't believe. So what did God do? They complained, and then they would disobey, and then God would forgive them. They rained food down from heaven for them. He brought forth water from a rock for them. He led them through the desert as a pillar of fire during the night and a pillar of smoke during the day. You would think that would be enough for someone to go, okay, well, we're being taken care of, not to mention the Red Sea being parted. I mean, how much more do you need? And still they complained. And that's the nature of humanity. It's like never enough. Oh, well, thanks for this, but why don't I have that? It's insane. The pillar of fire would have been enough for me. And, I've been like, okay, yeah, God's there, he's leading us out of here. And then he destroys the entire Egyptian army that was following him by collapsing the Red Sea down on top of them. And we have proof that all of those chariots and stuff are there. And then people say, oh, there's no empirical evidence that the Bible existed, except for the scorched land right where Moses actually did the crossing, where where God came down as basically fire to keep that army away from them as they crossed, and then he allowed them to cross, and then let the water down, let it back, and it drowned the entire army. And you can today go see all the chariot wheels, and it goes and it dates back to that century. So when people say to you, "There's no empirical evidence in the Bible," blah 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 blah, it's because they haven't done their research. Yes, our sex is determined at conception. Well, I must have gone on to another conversation without even knowing it. Life begins at conception. It doesn't matter when the gene is expressed. It was predetermined to be expressed. I don't care if the Y chromosome happens 0.003 of a millisecond after conception. It's still predetermined to be there or not. Hi, how you doing, Nishant? Is it Nishant? Sharm? I can't pronounce it. I apologize. It's about morphology. You said God is made. God didn't make man in. Wait, hold on. You said God is made in man's image. No, man was made in God's image. But all males have female-like characteristics in embryo. Men are mad innate. Get the sentence. Calm down. Get the sentence right so we can all understand it. I think you're misunderstanding a lot about biology. It isn't that the embryo isn't going to be what it was designed to be, according to God's plan. So you see, God said He knew you before He formed you in your mother's womb, which means if that chromosome you're talking about expresses at a certain point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. You were created. Your existence was predetermined before you were even created. Because you're talking, once again, about a creator that knows all of what has happened in this time, which is finished. Not for us, but it's finished. Already. I have proof of that because I had the misfortune, because I lost an animal in the process, a pet, of seeing the future 3 days in advance. And there was nothing we could do to stop it. Is God a man? Well, he created. In the Bible, it says He created man and He says, "Let us create man in our image." He's speaking of Him, the Holy Spirit, and Christ, because Christ, whether you believe it or not, existed before He was brought to earth or born into earth, into the flesh. Because in the beginning, the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Once you understand that, you'll understand what you're trying to ask. You'll get the answer. Is God a man? God is God. And if you are created in His image, you got to remember, He said, "Let us create mankind in our image." And then He also said that woman is basically the helpmeet for the man. Man needed a helper. A woman is the cradle of life, and let's face it, has more wisdom than men at most times. So that's why God created women for man. It's we're all one, and that's why he says you're one flesh when you're married, because a man and a woman are not so different, but they are. And they complement each other. We're not meant to be alone. Honestly, it's not. I don't think it's a sin to smoke. I think anything that you do purposefully that will basically inebriate you to the point where you're not making your decisions with a sound mind is what God meant about partaking. Now everyone's going to say, well, why did he create wine? Why was it okay that they drank wine? Well, back in the time, there wasn't really any other way to store the blood of the grape, as God put it, because there was no way to keep it from spoiling. So it had to be fermented to a point in order for it to be viable. So wine in itself was actually, but God didn't say you couldn't drink wine. He just said you couldn't. It was a sin to be inebriated, to have your judgment skewed by overindulgence, when gluttony in a sense. So, yeah. That is correct. But we live in a corrupt world, and mankind has done enough to destroy our bodies as it is. Do I want to be a smoker? No. It was something that I've been fighting with for a long time, which is why I don't smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day anymore. I just puff on this every once in a while when I'm doing a live with you guys. And my lungs feel a lot better for it, I can tell you that. When it comes to the weed aspect of it, I do it for sleep and for pain, because I have a lot of pain from the military. Ibuprofen sucks. I don't like opiates. But I do very little. I do less than like a pinky nail's worth, and I'm done. I can't go past that, or I become lightheaded and off balance, and I don't like that feeling. I never liked that feeling. I just wanted to be able to sleep and sort of subside some of the pains that I do have. So there's a way to do things the right way, and there's a way to do things the wrong way with the same exact thing. Okay. So the question of whether or not you're able to do, things like that, like smoke weed, or a lot of people do it for the purposes of escape. I don't. I do it when I'm in pain. And I rarely do it because I'm lightweight. I've had the same 7-gram bag from the dispensary for over a month. Well, of course, Josh, that's a good point, and that's true. You can ask for healing, absolutely. But remember, we live in a corrupt world. We live in a world full of corruption and sin, and that's what brings most of the horrible things down upon man. And that's why, if you read the Bible, you'll see how the world is going to end. And that's why Christ came to earth, to be that salvation, our way out, our way back home to the Father. Because sin is always going to be part of the world, and it's what corrupted the earth. People don't remember the fact that Adam and Eve, when they were created in the Garden of Eden, they were never meant to die. They were never meant to die. The only thing that happened, what brought death into the world, was disobeying God and eating from the tree. That was the first sin. And that's what brought death into the world. Troll rights. Is that a hashtag? Is that like a real hashtag? Yeah, but you know, this one's a lamp. The other one was a broom. I just love the way he does it. I want to tell you that. The eyes see what they want to see, which tells you a lot about the sin of the world. Lusting after sin and impurity. If you guys really want to hear a very compelling story from the perspective of a demon, there's two things you can do. You can read the Screwtape Letters, which is a C.S. Lewis book, and you can watch the movie Nefarious. That was an awesome movie. And that sort of puts things into perspective when it comes to demons and how they influence people. Quazim, welcome. Movies, okay, I'm done. Richard, I don't understand what you mean by that. I don't see. Did that offend you somehow? Because the way we tell things that happen in this world, the way we convey information is in several different formats: social media, books, music, movies, TV, basically everything. So if you're going to look down on me pointing out what would be a good movie for you to watch, then that's pretty shallow. What does that say? I believe that was evolution and a chance. Okay, don't understand that one. Gotcha. Evolution hasn't been proven right either. Let's see. Hi, Raj. Hi, how are you doing? Welcome to the chat. See, the interesting thing, Paul, you need to understand is, show me where evolution is showing species jumping from species now. And if evolution is true, why would it just stop all of a sudden? And I know what you're going to say. It happens over billions of years or millions of years or this, that, and the other. I believe in the evolutionary adaptation of organisms according to their environment, not jumping from one species to another, especially one that isn't self-aware to one that is self-aware. We are unique in the aspect that we have no natural defense mechanism other than our self-awareness, and every other species on the planet has a self-defense mechanism, and they act on what? Instinct. Not self-awareness. Human beings are the only ones that are self-aware. You can take an instinctual desire and decide against it or for it. No other animal does that. Every other animal on the planet is basically about survival. Eat, sleep, reproduce. Try not to die. So they have natural defense mechanisms. Humans don't. Do we have claws? Do we have sharp fangs? No, we have self-awareness. We are separate from every other species on the planet. I don't care if we resemble apes. Some of us have our, more hair than other on the body, but that's not the point. We're not. Okay? We are a mammal because we live on a planet designed for us, and it's how we were designed. But how you were designed physically, how we are physically, isn't all of who we are, spiritually and consciously. And no one wants to look past that. They're too focused on that narrow vision. I believe in only what I see. I believe in what only can be proven. But by the time what I'm telling you is proven, if you have not have accepted it, it's too late. Of course, you will have a second chance during the tribulation, but you're not going to like how it's going to be. Thomas, how y'all doing? You have tools? I don't understand what that means. Okay. Cheyenne, hi, how are you? Welcome to the chat. Glad everyone's enjoying it so far. Yes, the proof is all around us. People ask us, what's the proof that God exists? Look around. Zoom out. Don't you think it's all of a sudden accidentally? Wait, what? Hold on. Don't you think it all of a sudden accidentally? Are you talking about the universe? Here's the main question I have for everyone, especially the atheists, because they love to dog on me, especially on Instagram. And I've had arguments with them, and I've given them proof, and I've given them scripture, but what they want is they want a big booming voice from the sky to tell them, hi, I exist. And that's not how faith works. They bring up the Big Bang Theory, okay, which I explained earlier. But they can't give you they can give you the how scientifically, how things function. But existence, they can't give you the why. They just can't. They go, oh, the Big Bang created everything, so that's what it meant. That's exactly how it is. Evolution, Big Bang, evolution, Big Bang. But you can't explain what the Big Bang was before it was the Big Bang, and what it was and where it existed before it became the Big Bang, right? You can't. You just can't. You cannot. And that's what makes them angry. Because when you get to that point, you're like, God exists. How do you know? He created everything. How do you know that? The Big Bang says otherwise. Well, how do you know that he wasn't responsible for this Big Bang? You don't know. That's why I said, any scientist worth the salt's not going to tell you that there isn't a designer. That's true. We're not supposed to know exactly how everything works. Okay, you can observe creation all you want via science and try to understand it. But your understanding of who you are and why you're here is in the Bible. Okay? Can't put it any simpler than that. That's all there is to it. All right. Bait. The eye sees what it wants to see. What do you see? Because that's a lamp. Thank you for proving my point about the world. Bait, you wrapped this whole conversation for us with that one statement. You observed, came to your own conclusion by what you've been exposed to in this world, and decided to make a judgment. Now, people make mistakes, so I'm not going to fault you for that. But you proved a point for me just now that was perfect timing. Excuse me one moment, I have to grab something to drink. My coffee is gone. Oh, so, Minute Maid. A juice beverage. FG, I don't even know what that means, but okay. Who's Gramp? Love you too, India. I hope you guys crush the living crap out of Pakistan. $41, what did you just ask? What's loud? What are you guys talking about? No, I don't play Fortnite. I do play Call of Duty, though. Call of Duty, Red Dead Redemption, those are fun. I did get into Hunt Showdown again because that's kind of fun. But games are full of griefers nowadays. You can't even play. You just, you know. I like to play Star Citizen, but it hasn't been working for me for the past month and a half. So that's just Star Citizen for you. Sort of a flip of a coin whether you end up logging in and actually playing. Haha, so cute, so funny. I wouldn't have thought of that myself. Paul, are you talking to me? Did I miss your main point? I'm on the same delay as everybody else the way I have to read chat, so please repeat it if it's something you need me to answer. Or I'll try and scroll up. Oops. Harold, hi, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. Michael, wow, that's a long name. Interesting though. The phonetics on it. I wonder how many people actually say that online. The wolves. I'm not even going to ask why you had your face close to your dog's butt. Okay. I'm getting at you, dog. Hold on a second. important in the grand scheme of things. Look, your place sadly which dimmed the convo a bit. What are you talking about? What dimmed the conversation a little bit? Russell, hi, I'm new from Philippines. It's morning here. Let's coffee. Oh man. That's it right there, coffee. You coffee it up, man. Coffee it up. I just had my cup of coffee and I gotta have something colder because it's getting freaking warm in here. Gotta get an AC vent put in to the shop so I don't die of heat exposure. Oh, I missed some chat. Sorry about that. Do you ever do the paint jobs? Like painting? Stuff like that? The god of comments says, can I kiss you? No, you can't. Car paint jobs. I mean, I guess I could if I get the equipment for it. It's not something I wouldn't be able to do with the right equipment. I thought you were talking about painting, because I did do some oil paintings. I don't know how to paint. I just tried it to see if I could do it, and they came out pretty good. So, at least my wife thinks so, because they're hanging in the living room. Never done oil-based wet-on-wet paint before. It's actually intriguing. So you gotta plan out your palette and your colors before you do the painting. What are you talking about? This is a fruit drink. Is this what you're talking about? This is Minute Maid. And this is tobacco. I don't know why everyone thinks that I'm drinking beer and smoking weed. Yes, Nathan. As a matter of fact, the interesting part about it is in the Garden of Gethsemane when they tried to take him into custody, and they asked him if he was Jesus Christ, and he said, "I am." They all flew back because that's who God is. That's who Christ is. The I am, and that is another point in regards to eternity. It's not that he was or will be and is. He is I am. He always is. That's the whole point. How are you doing? Puffer fish? I'm doing well today. I hope you're doing well. What's my opinion on the Indian-Pakistan war? I think India needs to break out its nukes. That's simple. We know how Pakistan is. Come on. They're looking for any reason to start a war, to try and take over, or to start a jihad on somebody. I mean, come on. That's what they want. It's that simple. They need to break out their nukes and just harvest the glass afterwards and start making mirrors. Genuine Pakistani mirrors. Oh, it's Elon. How you doing? I've missed you so much. One of my favorite people to come in and start dropping stuff. You cut your hair, I can give you $2,000. Why would I cut my hair? I wouldn't cut my hair for $2,000. I wouldn't do anything to my hair, my beard, for any price. Have fun, Glory. Blumpkin pie? No idea. Clark Kent. You talking to Glory or me? Because I thought you were hanging out. Are you leaving? No? Okay. Okay, you're teaching English. Why? Saha? Thank you. I love my beard too. My wife loves my beard. Oh, talking to Old Glory. Gotcha. Okay. Throw some rocks and where? I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you, Elon, for teaching English. Appreciate it. Shop review. Time for Spanish. Or at least some green. What was my favorite tobacco brand? Captain Black has a premium that I like. It's in like a blue label bottle, or a blue label can. Very aromatic, robust. When it comes to cigars, Sherpas. I like the Sherpas. The Robusto. They have a good aroma. It's a Minute Maid fruit beverage. I know. It's not something I'm gonna do, Chuck. Sorry. People think that smoking weed is supposed to be purely recreational and have forgotten the medicinal purposes behind it. So, like everything else that is abused in this world, and it's not meant for that. Close, Siddharth. I tell you what, close. I like Mopar. I don't mind it. Love the Hemis. I'll tell you that right now. Wouldn't mind a Hellcat if anyone's got an extra one. But from Gone in 60 Seconds, the original Eleanor design, beautiful Mustang. I would love that one. But I mean, heck, I'll take a good Mopar any day. You're built like a Coke can? I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Oh, wow. Light up some what? No. I don't light up rocks. Whatever that means. What are you guys asking? Oh, what's behind me? That is a CNC machine that I 3D printed. And I'm using it for basically making the body molds for the carbon fiber body for the SR72 Dark Star. That's going to run 2 of these 340 millimeter EDF high pass engines that I'm building. So it's also, there's going to be 4 of these for a drone. Ian 18, what's up, fool? You know what? I did play D&D when I was younger. I grew up poor, man. You gotta learn how to survive when you're on the street. Everything I got now is a blessing. I'll tell you how this works, and this will give you my age as well. We used to go into Pizza Hut. We had a manager there that ran the place that basically he played D&D too. So like we get a group of people, we go in and play D&D. After hours in Pizza Hut with the original breadsticks and the marinara that everybody loved. And we'd sit there all night eating breadsticks, and because he was the manager, so we just stayed in the building all night long. We'd help him roll the silverware and stuff for the next day, and all that other good stuff to get ready for the next business day. But at night, we were out, we were playing D&D and eating breadsticks like all night. It was great. Spotty, for real. How you doing? Welcome. It's funny you should say that. I'm actually growing some mushrooms. Not those kind, of course. I'm doing it for genetic manipulation, but it's for bioluminescence experiments. Pinellus stiticus. The T on my necklace, it's not a T, it's a cross. This is a memento mori. It's called a Jesus rope. But yeah, it's a cross. And the two skulls are the memento mori. Judd, welcome. How are you? Glad you could join the chat. He frowns on my D&D playing. I don't play it anymore. That was like when I was young. Really young. Jesus frowns on everybody's sins. And here I am being judged by another human. How ironic. Your mom said you were a mistake, and my dad forgot. Seriously? Well then guess what? You weren't a mistake. Yes, God is good. You're frowning because of your disability. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Not because of sin. You're going to have to elaborate on that one, the frowning thing. It's 1 a.m. in Syria, so cheers. Well, cheers to Syria. Smoking is not. That's, I assume there's more to that sentence. Everything is good, yes. Everything is good. Pops. I haven't been called Pops in a while. It's usually Gramps or Grandpa, even though I'm probably younger than half the people on here. you can't spell the word elaborate, it's too big. Use voice to text, I won't judge you. No, it's tobacco. He said weed is for sinners and used a homophobic slur. Who did? I look young. I appreciate that. Thank you. You can tell my lower sciatic area that too. Maybe it'll back off a little. No, I don't do that drug. Thank you for asking, though. I don't know if it's out of concern or not, but I've been trying. I don't do drugs like that. I don't. It's just no. I don't believe in wasting my time or money or intellect on that. It's just a waste. You long? No, you're not. You're not a junkie. We just want people to hear you. We hear you, man. You're part of the family around here, the DPC family. Every one of you can join up. I've got a Patreon, I've got Facebook, Instagram, I'm on X. I usually show a lot of my projects on there that I'm working on. And anyone who subscribes, joins in, you're going to see a lot of cool content. So be sure to subscribe. It helps me out. It helps me, well, actually, once I actually get monetized, which would be nice, then I can actually, afford to keep going. Honestly, I'm on vet benefits, so I have to have help. My brother has been a very big help. He actually got the personal loan for the X1 carbon that I use to do most of my work. He buys the filament and the hardware and stuff like that, but eventually he gets tapped out too. So we're not rich. So I'm doing what I can to monetize this so I can keep it going. So the more of you guys that subscribe to the channel and share it, we have these chats all the time, and then we have plenty of great content. And if there's some kind of aircraft you'd love me to build in the future with one of my experimental motors that I've been building, I'm happy to do it as time allows and money and so on and so forth. And with that being said, it is 3 o'clock, so I did promise I would take everyone around the shop and kind of show them the projects. That's what I'm going to do. So that's what we'll do right now before I call this live, wrapped up. And so let's do that right now. So everyone was curious. A lot of people have been curious. Hold on, my phone doesn't like me. It's going to tell me it's not.
I wasn't finished.
There you go. There's the phone telling me it wasn't done. Well, here's one of the paintings I did. This is the black pearl that I'm working on. It's supposed to be relaxing. It's almost not, but it sort of is, because I have to tie all this rigging. There's some of the fans that I've been playing with. Over here we have the Pinella Stypticus grow. I got to do some work on that because the humidifier messed up on me. This is the 340 millimeter EDF right here. That's a beautiful fan right there, and it's got some power. This is the water landing plane 90 millimeter EDF that I designed in Fusion 360 and that I printed out, and has skids and buoyant TPU tires and guide fins, upper ducting so that it can pull out. It'll have rear vectoring so it can pull out of the water. First jet that can land on the water. Plus it'll have buoyancy tanks out of AMS TPU for this because it's way more rigid. This is the CNC that I basically printed and then put together so that I could do the mold work for the body parts for the larger engine right here. And over here we have, hi Deadpool, we have the two 10,000 millis I've been using to actually test the rig, even though it won't, more than likely we'll use more than that. Like I said, a third pack is necessary so I can bring this up to 18S before I test everything and make sure everything's perfect. I have done a few spin-ups on that already. It's been fun. This is the smaller 170 version. It's for smaller aircraft, if you like. This runs through a 4-to-1 gear ratio and gives you 28,000 RPMs. What else do we have here? I did the gold catcher thing for fun. That was cool. And your support material is never wasted because it works well in the garden, which we're doing. We have the Dill drone. The famous Dill drone, dedicated to Katy Perry. I make lift signs and Uber signs for people. My brother does both, and so I do those out of Arduino, and basically so he can let people know, have some custom lighting. This was a prototype, so it needs a little bit of work, but hang it in the window when you're working, that kind of thing. Still want to get back into balsa, so I got to fix that thing. Found it in the field. This is the drone that I'm doing for the GoPro so that I can have something in the air with the GoPro on it when I eventually turn that into a drone. There will be 4 of those. That's going to be a big, big drone.
What else do we got? Yes, it's called the Dill Drone. That's a flying wing that I'm working on. That one's going to be fun. I've got the ESC and the servos for that and the motors. I plan on using one of these because I'm changing the motors out, because that will actually fly on one of these motors. This is a glider I'm putting together. This is TPU. It's AMS TPU. So flexible organic wings, as you can see, which is great. I love it because the way it works out is the wing sections actually give you an organic sort of aileron thing. And I'm telling you, the bonding for this stuff, for single line printing, when you're doing models, this stuff, you can't break it. This stuff is awesome. It's AMS. It's TPU for the AMS from Bamboo Lab. It's like the best stuff, and the layer adhesion is remarkable on that stuff. These are some of my front drive fans here, 170 millimeter, which also are run by a 7070 Flip Sky motor. And that's for the Cutlass Black that I'm doing from Star Citizen. I'm doing the main body so I can do the carbon fiber molding on that. I'm making a drone out of that flies. And, well, I'm doing a lot of stuff. Main focus is the 340 millimeter right now. That's so much fun to watch spin, though. But you'll get there's videos I've done where you have a spin up on this. So go check those out. I will be doing more when I change out this 12S for an 18S. And then we're going to get some serious RPMs out of it. I also went ahead and designed flexible stator rectification. So as the RPMs increase, the stators actually flex. So you still get a linear flow out of the bottom of the motor, but it's not a solid stator. So at lower RPMs, it does rectify for yaw on the engine, but at higher RPMs, it can flex out to allow more linear airflow at the higher RPMs. So the airflow itself is what determines the angle of deflection on the yaw or on the stator. So that was one of the designs I accidentally came up with. Other than that, in the Smithsonian side of the shop, we have an Ender 3 and the original Shrike drone design. So if you check out the Shrike concept drone playlist, you'll see where I went with that one. I went back to our standard X-Quad variation because I needed to understand how EDFs worked with flight controllers. So that was fun. So yeah, I've got plenty of... I have so many fans, pardon the pun. But to wrap things up, I want to thank everyone who has showed up. Oh, look, it's fogging. The fogger's working. Yay. Okay. I enjoy doing all this stuff, creating new things, creating new objects to fly around and experimenting with different configurations. It's just what I love to do. And I'm going to continue to do it as I can afford to continue to do it. So if you're all willing to, you are not obligated. You can hit that Buy Me a Coffee link in my channel page and donate whatever you want. Become a member on Patreon. Support the channel. It helps me out, helps me bring you guys more content. I will always bring you guys content as much as I can. I've been doing this for over a year straight because, well, I'm a vet. I'm at home. I'm not doing anything else. So, other than that, that's pretty much a wrap for today. I appreciate everything. I mean, everything that you guys do. Your subscriptions, you just being here. It just helps me out. It really does. And I hope that I have brought you some worthwhile content and that you see the rest of the content on the channel and that you enjoy what you're watching and that it's fun for you. If you have any suggestions for stuff, let me know. And don't worry, these STL files will be made available for you guys as soon as I verify the safety and overall functionality of the engine. And then you guys can make whatever plane you want. I'll have files out for the 70 or the 170 and the 340. So Don't worry about that. You guys will have access to this stuff. So with that being said, I appreciate all of you. It's been fun. It was great to see you. Trivia, glad you're here. Great to see you too. Elong, it's always nice to have somebody in there that can stir the pot a little bit. And for everyone who wants to join up, please subscribe. Please subscribe, share with your friends, and I will make sure that you guys get more content and better content all the time. I am not quitting, ever, because this is too much fun. So from all of us here at DPC, we thank you, and you all have a wonderful rest of your Saturday or Sunday, depending on where you're at, or possibly even Friday, depending on where you're watching from. But I love you all, and I will see you again soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye.